Carl Jung didn't theorize from the safety of the intellect. He descended. He lived his psychology. He broke apart under the weight of his visions and reassembled himself, not as a man who conquered the unconscious, but as one who learned how to speak with it. This is not the story of a perfect man. It's the story of a man who lost control, and in doing so, found the hidden architecture of the psyche. 13 times we see it. 13 cracks in the mask. 13 invitations to fall inward. Let's begin. 1. The first vision. Jung sees the flood of blood. In the autumn of 1913, while riding a train, Carl Jung suddenly saw Europe drowning in a sea of blood. It wasn't a daydream or a fleeting fantasy. It was vivid, vast, uninvited. Buildings collapsed into the tide. The land fractured. The rivers turned red. Jung was terrified. He thought he was losing his mind. A psychiatrist seeing visions? This was the edge of madness, but within a year, World War I erupted. Exactly what Jung saw came to pass. This moment marked the first time he realized his unconscious had access to something beyond time. He called this the collective unconscious, a shared psychic reservoir connecting all human beings. But here's the lesson. Jung only discovered this by losing control. Had he dismissed the vision as nonsense, had he clung to logic or feared for his reputation, he never would have touched the unseen. What parts of your mind do you instantly dismiss as crazy? What inner visions have you ignored or suppressed out of fear of judgment? Jung's first breakdown became his first awakening, and yours could too, if you listen to what your deeper mind is whispering. 2. The collapse of Freud, breaking the father archetype. Freud wasn't just a mentor to Jung, he was the father, the symbol of order, reason, intellectual belonging, and for years, Jung was the golden son, the heir to psychoanalysis, the chosen one. But Jung's soul led him away from Freud's strict materialism. He was drawn toward spirituality, myth, and the symbols of ancient wisdom. Freud was furious. He accused Jung of betraying science, and the split was catastrophic. Jung wrote, "After the parting of ways with Freud, I felt I had to go into the depths by myself." He fell into months of isolation, depression, confusion. No more structure, no more father figure, just the vast emptiness of becoming your own authority. Every spiritual journey begins with a betrayal. You will outgrow your mentors. You will question the systems that raised you. And when you do, you will feel alone. But that loneliness, that fracture, is the door to your own voice. You must break the false fathers to find your inner king. 3. The descent into the Red Book, when Jung spoke to his demons. After the break with Freud, Jung plunged into the dark, not metaphorically, literally. He began what he called his confrontation with the unconscious. He let go of scientific detachment and invited chaos in. For months, he wrote and painted visions that surged up from his unconscious. He met a red-winged serpent, a wise old man named Philemon, a woman named Salome, and countless gods, monsters, and symbols. He wasn't writing for a journal. He wasn't preparing for a lecture. He was losing himself willingly in the psychic abyss. At one point, he feared permanent madness. He would walk the forest in despair, asking himself if he was still sane. But through this madness, he found soul. The years when I was pursuing my inner images were the most important in my life. Your soul doesn't live in your resume. It lives in your nightmares, in the strange images you don't understand, in the dreams you keep secret because they scare you. Jung teaches us, sanity isn't the avoidance of chaos, it's dancing with it, without letting it possess you. This is shadow work, facing the things inside you that you were told were too much, too dark, or too wild. If you want to meet your true self, visit the places you're afraid to go within. 4. The encounter with Philemon, the spirit that taught him. One of the most powerful and mysterious figures Jung met in his visions was Philemon, an old, wise, bearded man with wings. To the outside world, this looked like psychosis, but to Jung, Philemon was a real figure of the psyche, a representation of timeless wisdom that lived within him and all of us. Philemon would speak directly to Jung, not in hallucination, but through a different layer of consciousness. Jung called it active imagination. Philemon told him truths he did not know, taught him that thoughts can have personalities, that the psyche is populated, not just singular. Jung lost control of his ego and gained communion with a deeper self. You are not one voice. You are a council, a mythic landscape, a dream unfolding. Have you met your inner guide yet? Have you asked the deeper mind what it wants? You don't need to wait for someone else to save you. You have an inner Philemon. Sit in silence. Write from the unconscious. Trust what arrives. Jung discovered that losing control of the ego is what allows the soul to speak. 5. The Night of the Dead, when the ancestors came. In his Red Book, Jung describes a vision called the Night of the Dead. He was surrounded by a sea of spirits, ancestors rising from the earth, demanding his attention. They were angry, restless, and Jung felt overwhelmed. This wasn't just a dream. He described it as a collective reckoning, the weight of all the unlived lives, all the suppressed emotions, all the forgotten dreams of humanity inside him. He wept. He spoke to them. He gave them space in his psyche, and after he did, they gave him wisdom. What ghosts are you ignoring? We all carry ancestral wounds, family traumas, cultural shadows. You may think you're just anxious or lost. But what if it's a grandmother's sorrow, a father's rage, a lineage of voices asking to be healed through you? Don't just numb it. Don't positive think it away. Speak to the dead within you. Write letters to them. Light a candle for them. Invite them to rest. Healing isn't just personal, it's ancestral. And Jung showed us, when we lose control and let the dead speak, we become free to live. 6. The tower in Bollingen, rebuilding his psyche in stone. After decades of work, Jung felt the need to build something with his hands. He bought land near Lake Zurich and began building a stone tower with no modern tools, no electricity, no plan. He carved the stones himself, painted mythological scenes on the walls, cooked over fire, lived like a monk. At Bollingen, I am in the midst of my true life. I am most deeply myself. This was a man who had been the head of the International Psychoanalytic Association, now disappearing into nature, into solitude. He didn't need recognition anymore. He didn't need theories. He needed silence. Have you ever tried building something with your hands? No agenda, no goal, no audience. We heal not just by thinking, but by doing, by reconnecting with the elemental, by stepping outside time. Sometimes the most powerful therapy isn't a conversation, it's stone, fire, and earth. Rebuild your inner house. 7. The breakdown. After Emma's death, grief as initiation. Jung's wife, Emma Jung, was not just a partner. She was his anchor. A brilliant analyst in her own right, a protector of his heart, a mirror. When she died in 1955, Jung fell into despair. He lost weight. He withdrew. His writings paused. He wandered the edges of meaning. This wasn't the wise old man anymore. This was a wounded child. And yet, out of that grief, he began writing again. He went deeper into the mystery of death, rebirth, the feminine soul. Grief broke him open, and in that breaking, new insights came. Grief is not a mistake. Grief is a fire that purifies. What if the heartbreak you're trying to avoid is the door to your transformation? Let yourself feel. Let yourself lose control. Because in that storm, you might find your most honest self. 8. The confrontation with the shadow. Meeting the monster within. Jung didn't just theorize the shadow, he lived it. He discovered that every person, especially the good ones, carries a dark double. Not evil in the horror movie sense, but rejected, buried, denied parts of the psyche. Jealousy, rage, lust, sadism, control. Jung wrote, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." His own shadow was fierce. He saw it in his ambition, in his moments of superiority, in the way he broke with Freud and took pride in being the rebel. He didn't repress it. He didn't excuse it. He confronted it. When's the last time you admitted something dark about yourself and loved yourself anyway? Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's your power, misdirected. The anger you hide could become your sword. The desire you deny could become your passion. The chaos you repress could become your creativity. Integrate it. Don't run from it. You don't become holy by being perfect. You become whole by being real. 9. The lapse into magical thinking and why it mattered. At times, Jung's visions became too much. Even he began to wonder if he was slipping into madness. He had conversations with mythic beings. He saw symbols in clouds, animals, numbers. He believed in synchronicity, that events could be meaningfully connected beyond cause and effect. To a strict scientist, this was lunacy. To Jung, it was evolution. He wrote, "The psyche is real. It is not a product of the brain. It is the very source of our reality." By letting go of logic, he entered mystery. Are you trying to over-rationalize your way into truth? Some things can't be dissected. They have to be felt, experienced, lived. Yes, some of Jung's ideas may sound too magical to modern ears, but what if they're just ahead of their time? You're more than flesh and reason. You're soul, energy, pattern, dream. Let yourself believe in what the intellect can't prove. You might just meet your true self there. 10. The visions before death. The final unveiling. In the weeks before his death, Jung experienced vivid, cosmic visions. He described flying out into space, seeing the earth from above. He felt the vastness of the universe. He saw ancient temples. He met radiant beings who conveyed truth not through words, but through knowing. It seemed to me as if behind the sun there was another sun, a second source of light. He returned from these visions transformed, peaceful, resigned, awake. He said, "Life is like a plant that lives on its rhizome. Its true life is invisible, hidden in the root. You are not your name, not your job, not even your story. You are consciousness, briefly wearing a mask. One day that mask will fall, and you will fly out, just like Jung, into the real. Until then, remember, there is more waiting for you than you could ever imagine, and every breakdown, every moment of losing control, is preparing you for it." 11th. His break from academia, choosing the soul over status. Jung was a respected academic. He taught, he published, he wore the suit and followed the rules. But after his inner journey began, he realized the system couldn't contain what he was discovering. So he left. He stopped teaching at the university. He lost prestige, invitations, public favor. He didn't care. He chose the soul over the system. He said, "I had to abandon the idea of the persona altogether. It was a living lie." Have you created a persona to survive? Maybe you're the good student, the responsible one, the calm, collected, put-together professional. But underneath, there's fire, and pretending to be normal is killing it. You don't have to blow up your life, but you do have to start telling the truth. The real you is buried under a performance. Drop the mask. Even for 5 minutes. Your soul will thank you. 12. The realization that the world wasn't ready. Despite his brilliance, Jung wasn't always understood. In fact, he often felt that most people wanted quick answers, not deep truths. They wanted to fix their pain, not understand it. They wanted to be functional, not free. This broke his heart. He once said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." Jung lost control of his hope for the world, but not of his mission. He kept writing, kept teaching, kept planting seeds, even if the harvest would come long after he died. Are you waiting for the world to get you? It might not, but your job isn't to be understood. Your job is to become. Jung teaches us, do it anyway. Do the deep work, even if no one notices, especially if no one notices, because truth is its own reward. 13. The surrender to mystery. His final teaching. In the end, after all the theories, all the books, all the inner work, Jung didn't claim to know everything. He didn't position himself as a guru. He bowed to the mystery. He said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." He chose to become curious until the end. Even on his deathbed, he didn't preach certainty. He whispered wonder. It's okay to not know. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to lose control. Because maybe that's what lets something greater in. You are not here to master life. You are here to meet it. Fully. Honestly. Unfiltered. Let Jung's descent teach you that your darkest moments aren't failures, they are doorways. And if you're willing to walk through them, you won't just find your truth, you'll become it.